Hi folks, this is Karim Rao from IT Visualizer channel. Today we'll continue our lab, the Mass Effect lab. This is the 8th video. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have been working with the third part or the second part of configuring the MBAM software. I can give you a little bit of a graph. We have been saying that the MBAM process as a whole, or the MBAM software, consists of 4 parts. The software itself, this is from here we will do the initial configuration for the MBAM software, and we have been discussed this in the previous 2 videos. And then we have a portal page, or we have a website that contains 2 portal pages, one for getting the reports and getting different reports we need. This is called administration and monitoring portal, and we have another portal or another page called the self-service portal. These 2 pages, one of them, as we see here, this is the one we can get reports from it. This is called BitLocker administration and monitoring portal. We can get reports concerning the BitLocker process, how much PCs are encrypted by names, their names and their IP addresses, how much hard disks are encrypted from these PCs, how much partitions are encrypted from these PCs by names. So we have the partition names, we have the PC names, we have the IP of the PCs, which is the unique ID that every PC should have in the network, so they can be able to communicate with each other. So this is the BitLocker administration and monitoring portal, and we have something called self-service portal. This is a portal that a normal user can use if he forgot his BitLocker key. So he needs only to provide something called recovery key ID, okay, in this page, and then he gives the reason why he needs to recover his BitLocker. For example, he lost it or something, and then he can get the key. So the software, or the MBAM software, consists of 4 parts. The software itself, as I said before, here we'll do the initial configuration, and then a web page or 2 portals. From it we will get we can get the reports concerning the BitLocker process, and the other concerning recovery of a BitLocker key. And then the software will record its the computer PC's names and IP addresses, and the encryption keys will be recorded in 4 databases. 2 of them will be concerning the PC names and IP addresses, and how much partitions are encrypted, and the name of the partitions that are encrypted. Okay, all of this will be in something called compliance and audit database. And as for the BitLocker keys, okay, they will be stored in this recovery database. So we have 2 databases, and then we have another 2 databases for the reports. Here the reports will be saved here. So if we need to get a report, for example, we need to get a report from the compliance database with the PC names and how much partitions are encrypted for every PC. These reports will be saved to these 2 databases. Okay, so we have 4 databases. Okay, and each database, okay, will have a certain group that will be able to do different things on it. For example, we have 2 types of Active Directory groups. One of them will have read access to any database, and the other one will have read and write access, or read and change access to any database. Okay, so in the previous video we have been discussing, okay, this is the second part of the MBAM. This is the database part. Okay, and the last one, it is the SQL report. So the MBAM software consists of the software itself. From here we will do the initial configuration, and then we have 2 portal pages, one for getting the reports and other for recovering BitLocker keys. And we have 4 databases. In these 4 databases, the BitLocker or the MBAM software records all of the BitLocker activity, like the PC that are encrypted, the IPs of the PCs that are encrypted, how much partitions are encrypted, the BitLocker keys themselves. The reports are saved to 2 report databases. Okay, and at the end, the third part or the 4th part of this MBAM software, it is the SQL reports. So we have the software, and then we have the portal, and then we have the database that this software records all of the BitLocker process in it, and the end we have the SQL reports, okay, that we will run from these two databases, or we can get reports from these two databases, okay. So these two databases will have reports saved to them, and if we need to create new reports, we will go and get data from these two databases and create reports and then save them in these two databases, okay. So the whole process, or this is the four parts of the software, all of this process is controlled by different Active Directory users and groups. So for example, the three users, they are responsible for maintaining, okay, and starting up the web portals. So this MBAM IIS service account and the MBAM read and write service account and the MBAM read only service, these three users or Active Directory users would be responsible for starting up the two portals of the MBAM software, okay. And then we have these two Active Directory groups for defining what will be, or to define the permissions for every database. For example, if we need some users to read from the compliance audit database, so they need to be put in the read only Active Directory group, or we need some to change read and change something in the recovery database, we need to put them in the MBAM database read and write group. And here we need, for example, there is another group that will responsible only for running reports. For example, here I need a certain Active Directory group that will be able to run reports from the administration portal. So for example, here we can see that to get or to run reports from this administration and monitoring portal, we need to have users, or we need to put the users in the group called MBAM report users, okay. So you need to be in this report, so you can, or to be in this group, so you can run reports from the BitLocker administration and monitoring portal, okay. And to get also to this portal, we need to put it in a group called MBAM help desk. So this portal will appear only for certain Active Directory groups. So we have two groups, something called MBAM help desk group and MBAM advanced help desk group, okay. So to get to this page, we need to put our Active Directory users in the groups called MBAM help desk or MBAM advanced help desk, so they can get to this web page and access this web page. But this is only to get to the page. But if you need to run reports, so you need to put your users in the MBAM reports users group, okay. So in the previous videos we have been discussing the database part from the MBAM software and the SQL reports part from the MBAM software, and the previous video we have been discussing how to create or to begin set up the administration and monitoring portal and the self-service portal. So these two we have been discussing in the previous video, how to create them and how to set up them up, and how to assign different users or Active Directory users to access these two portals. So some will be able to access this portal and some will be able to access this portal, okay. So we have done this in the previous video. It's just we will open the Microsoft BitLocker administration monitoring tool. So we'll open the MBAM software and then we will begin creating the administration and monitoring website and the self-service portal. How this was done? This was done in the just a moment here. This is the process. So what we will do first, before beginning setup up the administration and monitoring portal and the self-service portal, we need to have the user MBAM read only account and the MBAM IIS service account. We need these two users to have read. So for example, this RO service account needs to have read access on the compliance and audit database, and needs to have read access also to the recovery database. Okay, so we need to have this, we need this user to have read on the recovery and the hardware database, and this user also to have read on the compliance and audit database. So we'll give it the read role, these two users, and we need the IIS service account to have read and write on the also compliance and audit database and the recovery database. So this will have read on both databases, okay, and this will have read and write on both databases. This is before beginning the setup and the creation of both portals, the administration and monitoring portal and the self-service portal. Okay, so this is the first step, and then we need to go to the Active Directory, to the MBAM IIS user or IIS service account Active Directory, or the IIS service Active Directory account, and then we need to go to the delegation, okay, and do something called trust this user and tell him to accept or use any authentication protocol, and tell him to accept or give trust to the HTTP protocol. Okay, what is this step? By this step we are assigning, or we are delegating, or we are giving this user the ability to start up the website or the two portals, or the two portals of the MBAM. So we are telling him to trust this user to run a certain protocol, which is the HTTP protocol. This protocol is able to run or to start up the two portal pages. Okay, so here I am delegating this user to run these two portal pages. He is the one to be responsible for running these two portal pages, and not only this user, the server that contains the MBAM, or the server that we have our MBAM software installed on it. So here we will tell him to authenticate, and then we'll tell him users and computers. Okay, to delegate users on computers, and then we need to get the IIS service account to run this, to run the HTTP. Okay, so it will be responsible for running the website of the MBAM, and then we need to add the server of the MBAM itself also to run the website. So we have delegation for two. We delegate the MBAM IIS service account to run the portal page or the two portal pages of the MBAM, and we also delegate the server that we have MBAM software installed on it, and the database and all of the things for the MBAM. He will also be responsible for running the portal or running these two portals. So the server of the MBAM, it's called EDMF02. So here we will add also the EDMF02. Okay, this is the server itself that contains the MBAM, and we'll tell him to delegate it to run the HTTP protocol. So we delegate two users to run the website or the two portals of the MBAM. One, the IIS service account, and the other is the server of the MBAM itself, the computer object of the server MBAM itself, which calls EDMF02. Okay, so after doing this, we will have this at the end. Okay, we'll have this result. After that, we need to go to add ourselves, or to add two accounts or two Active Directory user accounts to the group of MBAM Advanced Help Desk users, so I can be able to get the administration or to access the administration and monitoring portal, and then I add myself to the MBAM reports users, so I can be able to run reports from the administration and monitoring portal. Okay, so this is the all of this should be done before beginning the process of adding the feature, or begin the step of configuring and initializing the setup of the administration and monitoring web portal and the self-service portal. Okay, so we'll go to the MBAM server configuration, and then we will go to these two, and then he will begin asking some questions. For example, here, if you are going to use HTTPS protocol, so you need to provide a security certificate. So if you are using SSL certification, or you will use the portals, or the two portals will use the HTTPS protocol, so you need to have a security or SSL certificate. Here I will not use SSL or HTTPS. So this is the first thing. It will tell him do not use a certificate, and then this is the name of the server that will host the two portal pages, okay, which also this server, it will host the two portal pages, and it will host the database for the MBAM that will record everything done in the BitLocker process on it, and also it will host the software of the MBAM itself. So this server hosts the software of the MBAM, the website of the MBAM or the portals of the MBAM, and the database of the MBAM. So here, where is the website or the location of the files of the website? It's CNTUP, and it will use port 80. And then we should here tell him which Active Directory user account will be responsible for starting up and running the MBAM website or the two portal pages of the MBAM, which is Administration and Monitoring Portal and Self-Service Portal. This will be the MBAM IIS service account. So here we will go there and we will go here and define this is the user and this is the password, and then we need to provide a couple of information concerning if we need this website, okay, or the Administration and Monitoring Portal contains a section for the reports. So if the reports or the website or the section of the reports in the websites needs to know where to get its reports, so it will get it from the SQL server, which is edmf02mu.local, and this SQL server contains two databases, which is the compliance and status or compliance and audit database. So here we provide the SQL server name and the compliance and audit database name, so the website can run reports from this SQL or run from this database. And also we will configure or tell him how to get also reports concerning the BitLocker keys. It will also get it from the SQL server edmf02mu.local, and to get your BitLocker keys you need to get it from the MBAM recovery and hardware database. And then here we will decide or we will define which users will be able to access the Administration and Monitoring website, which will be the Advanced Help Desk users. This is for Advanced Help Desk users, and the other for the normal Help Desk users. These two groups will be able to access the Administration and Monitoring website. Some can run reports and some can run more than reports. For example, they can recover BitLocker keys and so on. So this is concerning the Administration and Monitoring website portal. And then we need to go to the second thing, which is the self-service portal. So here we will go to the self-service portal. Okay, this is the section of the self-service portal. Sorry, this is before the self-service portal. We have defined the two groups that will access the Administration and Monitoring portal, which is Help Desk and Advanced Help Desk. And then we need to check enable TPM lockout auto reset to check this option, and then we define the group that will be responsible for running reports. So when you access the Administration and Monitoring portal page, you will not be able to run reports from this page unless you are in the MBAM report users group. And then this is the URL to access reports for the MBAM. So you can run reports from the Administration and Monitoring portal, and this contains some predefined reports, but to run more reports and to create more reports, you can run it from a special portal, which is the report server portal. So we have two portals, the Administration and Monitoring portal, okay, and we have the self-service portal, and we have the report server portal, okay. And then we will begin configuring the self-service portal. The self-service portal will leave everything as it is, okay, and at the end we will tell him export to PowerShell if you need, and at the end the self-service portal, it is up and running, and at the end we can be able to access the Help Desk portal. Okay, so you can see we have a lot of things to be done in this Help Desk portal or the Administration and Monitoring portal. You can run reports, you can recovery driver, or you can recovery BitLocker keys, and you can manage TPN. So for example, the normal Help Desk Active Directory group can run reports, and the Advanced Help Desk group or Active Directory Help Desk group can run driver recovery and manage TPM. Okay, so this is what that we have been discussing. So this we have been discussing in the previous video, and the whole process here, as I said before, it is complete. So we have configured the portal page, we have configured the databases, we have configured the reports, so everything is complete. We can begin the process of the BitLocker in all of the domain. For example, here we have 100 PCs, so we need to begin the process of encrypting all of these 100 PCs. So by doing all of this, so we have finished, we can go now and begin the process of encrypting the 100 PC in our network. No, we still have another, or the last step to do, which is configuring the BitLocker group policy and the agents. Okay, what is the BitLocker, or what is the function of the BitLocker group policy and the MBAM client? So as we can see here, this is our domain controller. Okay, this domain controller, okay, we need to configure two group policies and to distribute the MBAM client to all of the PCs in the domain, because this client will be responsible for running the BitLocker process and to send the data to the MBAM database. Let's have something like an example. For example, here when we begin encrypting, for example, here is the process. We have 3 PCs. These 3 PCs will have their hard disk encrypted. Okay, after encrypting the hard disk, the MBAM client, so this MBAM client should be installed of all of our workstations in the domain, or all of the PCs that we need to encrypt, or to have BitLocker encrypted, or BitLocker installed and encrypt hard disk on it, on this PC. So the MBAM client should be installed, because this MBAM will send the data. So it will, after finishing of the encryption of all of, so we can see this hard disk is encrypted, this hard disk is encrypted, this hard disk encrypted, this MBAM client will send the data and put it to the MBAM database. So here we will have a report by the PC names, the PC hard disks, how much partitions are encrypted. All of this will be sent to the MBAM server that contains the MBAM database. All this will be done using the MBAM client. So the MBAM client will be responsible for getting the data. He will send the name of the PCs, the name of the PCs, the IPs of the PCs, how much partitions are encrypted, okay, and the encryption keys as well. It will all be sent by using the MBAM software. So it will be sent and recorded. It will be sent and then recorded to the MBAM database. Okay, so this is the function of the MBAM. Okay, but this is only the MBAM. What about these two group policies? Okay, these two group policies, we have one called MBAM group policy and one is called BitLocker group policy. The BitLocker group policy, from here we will define what type of encryption that we need. For example, we need 256 encryption type. So this encryption type will be passed to all, or this encryption type will be passed to all of the PCs in the domain through the group policy. Okay, so the BitLocker group policy, here we will define the type of encryption keys that we need, or type of the encryption that we need for the BitLocker to work, where the encryption keys are stored. As I said before, you can store the BitLocker keys or recovery keys in the Active Directory, so we can do this through the group policy, or we can save it to the MBAM database. We will do both, of course, but if you are not using the MBAM solution, you can store the BitLocker keys in the Active Directory. So this can be done through the BitLocker group policy. So the BitLocker group policy will define which type of encryption we will use on the PCs using the BitLocker process, and where the recovery keys or the BitLocker keys will be saved. Okay, and what we will encrypt. So for example, we can encrypt the hard disk of every PC, the local hard disk of every PC, and also we can encrypt the removable hard disk. If you have a flash or something, you can removable flash or removable hard disk, you can encrypt it. And we will encrypt all of the partitions, because for example, this PC will have 2 hard disks, one or 2 partitions for one hard disk. One partition contains the operating system and the other contains the user's data. So we are telling him in the group policy that we need to encrypt all of the fixed hard disks. So this will include the operating system partition and the user partition, and we will encrypt the removable hard disks and we will encrypt all fixed hard disks. So this all will be done through the BitLocker group policy. The BitLocker group policy will define which hard disks types that we will encrypt. So we can encrypt fixed hard disks, we can encrypt removable hard disks, we can encrypt operating system partitions. All of this will be defined through the BitLocker group policy, and we can also define through the BitLocker group policy where the BitLocker keys will be saved. So we can tell him to save it in the Active Directory, and also through this group policy we will define what type of encryption that we need. We need for example the encryption type AES 256. So all of this will be put in the group policy and pushed to all of the clients. Okay, so all of the clients will have the BitLocker group policy. Okay, that will define that we have said. And we have also something called the MBAM group policy. This MBAM group policy, it will be used to configure, or it will use to configure the setting for the MBAM client. Okay, so this group policy, it is responsible for configuring the MBAM client, or to play with the configuration or the setting of the MBAM client. Okay, so these two, with the help of the MBAM client, will help the PC, or will help the BitLocker process to finish. So here this is the PC. So what we will do, we will configure this through group policies. Okay, and the MBAM client will be pushed to the clients. So these three items will be pushed through the Active Directory to all of our PCs in the domain, or to all of our PCs that we need the BitLocker to be working on it and to encrypt their hard disk on it. Okay, so we will push these three items. Okay, the MBAM group policy, the BitLocker group policy, and the MBAM client. And through using these three, it will begin encrypting the hard disk. Okay, and at the end we have an encrypted hard disk, and at the end the MBAM client will send all of the data concerning the BitLocker process, from the name of the PCs, the how much partitions are encrypted, the IP of the PC, the name of the PC. All of this will be sent by the MBAM client to the MBAM database. Okay, and here we can see EDMF. We have this server installed MBAM on it. So we can, after that, after finishing the process and the MBAM client send all of the information to the MBAM database, we can open the portal, the help desk portal or administration or monitoring portal. We can open it and run reports from the database. Okay, so we can get reports of the PC names, the PC recovery keys. Okay, so BitLocker whole process recorded in MBAM compliance and audit database, and BitLocker keys are recorded in MBAM recovery database by the MBAM agent, and monitoring is also done by the MBAM agent. So the MBAM agent, it's not only its function to get or send the information concerning the BitLocker process to the MBAM database and put it or record on the MBAM database, but it's also, it will monitor the process, or it will monitor the process it will monitor the process of the BitLocker. So it will give us a live update about the BitLocker process, how much we have finished from the BitLocker process, if it is 60%, 70%, and so on. So this is the whole or it is a little bit of what we will do with these two. So through these two group policies, we will define what type of encryption that we need, what type of hard disks or partitions that we need to encrypt, and the MBAM client itself, we will configure some setting through it. So at the end, after we finish the BitLocker process, we can go and run some reports. For example, here this is a report. This report is called compliance report. Here we can see the computer name, the domain, it's compliant or not. So if the encryption is finished, it will be compliant. Exception, who run this report, okay, and what is the last time that we have information from this PC. Okay, this is the last contact, and this is done by the MBAM client. So the MBAM client will be responsible for communicating with the BitLocker clients, or the BitLocker, or will be responsible for communicating with the clients or the PCs in my domain, so we can have an info about the BitLocker process step by step or live. So this is a report, it's called compliance report, and we have something called an audit or recovery audit report. So this is if someone from the help desk, for example, needs to get a BitLocker key. So here we can see, for example, at 29/6/2020 we have the help desk. It was asked to have a password, recovery key password. Okay, why is this? Because the operating system boot order has been changed. Okay, so this is two kind of reports you can run after the finish of the BitLocker process. Okay, what about these two group policies? What we will do, or what is the shape of this two group policies? We can go here and see, for example, this is the BitLocker encryption process. We can see that there are three sections: one for the fixes data drives, one for the operating system drivers, and one for the removable hard disk drives. Just a moment. So let's complete, guys. Here we can see that this is the BitLocker encryption group policy. Here we will define through these options what we will encrypt. So here we encrypt fixed data drives, or we can encrypt the operating system drives or removable data drives. So here we will configure through these three options what is the type of the encryption that we will have. So there is different types of encryptions. We have 256-bit encryption, we have 128-bit encryption, and a lot of things. So this will be configured from this section, and then we will have the DOP MBAM or BitLocker management group policy. Here we can see that we have the client. So here is the partition, or this is the option. Here we configure some configuration concerning the MBAM client. Okay, so here we will configure MBAM services. So through this option we are telling him to enable or to activate the MBAM client. So we will install the MBAM client, and then we need to activate the MBAM services so the MBAM client can work. Okay, so we will install the client of the MBAM, and then we need to have a service or to install the service for the MBAM, so the MBAM client can use the MBAM service to communicate with the MBAM server and record or put the data of the BitLocker process in the MBAM database. Okay, so this is the way how we will install the MBAM client. We will install it using our login script. So this is the line here. We will tell him, we will go to a folder, and then we will put the MBAM client. Okay, it's 2.5. we have two type, or we have two MBAM clients. The one that we will get from the Microsoft Desktop Optimization Package DVD. So this is the first, or this is the first file that we will have, and then we will install an update for this MBAM client. So this line, we are telling him to go to a certain shared folder and get a certain file. Okay, and set up or configure this or set up this MBAM client, and then we will install this update for this this file. So this is the main file. We will install it, and then we will update, or we will install an update for this file. Okay, and these two files are in this location, which is called EDMF backgrounds. This is the MBAM client. Okay, this is the update for the MBAM, and this is the main file. So the main file is MBAM client 2.5. This is the main file that we get it from Microsoft Desktop Optimization Package DVD, and then this is an update for this file. We get it from the internet. Okay, so this is the login script. Okay, and this is the files that the login script will install. Where is the location of this login script? It is in the netlogin or C Windows sysvol script, or netlogin share folder, or sysvol share folder. So this is the location of the script. It's called mycomputer.bat. So this is the script, and it will get or set up some files from this shared folder, and we need to put this login script to all of the Active Directory users. So we need to have this script installed or run for all of the Active Directory users. We'll do this through the properties or for each Active Directory user, and type mycomputer.bat. This is the name of the script, and he knows automatically where to go. He will go to net login shared folder and run mycomputer.bat. So Active Directory should have rights on this folder. These two folders, we will give them read permission, so read and execute, so he can read what is in the folder and execute if there is an application file or a script file. Shared by default, so it can be accessed. Okay, so anyway, this is how we will install the MBAM client. Okay, as for the group policy, it will be configured and pushed through the group policy management tool or console. Okay, so I think this is just a moment. So here, this is the this is the process. Sorry, this is not it. This is the BitLocker final process. So we can see here, okay, this is the process. This is the domain controller. This is the MBAM server. The domain controller will push two group policies and the MBAM client. By using these three, the encryption process will begin. So this is the PC, this is the hard disk, and this is the encryption. After finishing the encryption, the MBAM client will send all of the data to the MBAM server. Okay, and this is not only to send data but to monitor the whole process. So the MBAM client will monitor the whole process of the encryption, and it will monitor and it will send data of the encryption process or the BitLocker process to the MBAM database. Okay, and we have two group policies, one concerning the type of encryption that we will implement, what we will encrypt, removable hard disk, fixed hard disk, and the other group policy, it will put some setting to, or will configure some setting for the MBAM client. Okay, this MBAM policy, we will download it from a certain website. So this is the whole process. We need to see how this is done through or practically. So just to know, we first need to see this website also will contains the steps. So here we can see that in part 2 and 1 we have installing and configuring BitLocker administration and monitoring. We go through installation and validation option. In the third part, we will look how two client group policies are configured and how to push out the client or MBAM client. Okay, this is not through the system through the system configuration manager. Here we can see this is the group policy. Okay, it's called MBAM. So this is a group policy that we need to put, or this group policy we need to install, so we can be able to have this option. So I can show you here. So we will not be able to see this part. It's not in the group policy by default. You need to go and download, okay, this group policy from this website. Okay, just a moment. So this is the URL for the group policy. You need to download the MBAM group policy and install it and put it in the group policy, or install it to the group policy central store, so you can be able to see this option. I'll show you all how this is done through the practical video or through the video. So this also will be done. Okay, we will see how this is done through the video. So let's go and see how this is done. So this is the group policy. This is a group policy for the MBAM. So this is the website, or this is the MBAM group policy. It's called group policy MBAM Microsoft Optimization Group Policy Administrative Template. So this is a group policy for the MBAM. We need to download it and put it in the group policy central store location, so we can be able to see the option of the Microsoft Desktop Optimization Package MBAM client section in the group policy. So we will extract this file. It's a .cap file. We remember that we have done the group policy center store location in the previous videos, so we now have downloaded the MBAM group policy template. We will go to the MBAM 2.5 service pack 1 folder, and the last two files, this is the group policy. Okay, so we will have the last two files, the ADMX files and the ADML files. This is the files that we will copy and put it in the group policy central store location. So I think I can pause it real quickly. So we need to go and we'll go copy the files. So here what I will do, I will go to the domain controller, and then we will copy the group policies for the MBAM and put it in the group policy central store location, so I can see the option of the MBAM software group policy. Okay, just a moment, we will see that in a moment. So here I'm going to my laptop, okay, because the files is on my guest, not my host. We have also discussed before what is a guest and what is a host. Sorry, it is on my host, not on my guest. So this files is on my host, the laptop. Okay, so this is the templates. And then copy and paste. And then we will go and copy the group policy. Open the MBAM 2.5 service pack, and then we will copy the last two files and the English US files. So we will copy these two files and put them in the group policy central store location. This is a location that have all of our group policy templates, or all of our group policy objects that is applied to all of our domains. So it is in ED, it's in the sysvol folder, policies folder. You will see that in a moment. So here we go. So here we will open the sysvol folder, and then the MEU folder, and then the policies. Okay, and policy definitions. Here is the location of our Active Directory objects. Here we will copy the group policy of the BitLocker, or the group policy template for the BitLocker. We need to put it in the folder ENSUS, it's ADML files, and also to copy the ADMX files. We will see that also. So here we will go and copy also the ADMX files. Okay, so we have two files. Two are ADMX files. This will be put in the root folder, and the other is ADML file. It will be put in ENUS folder. So now if you open the group policy, I will not do a separate MBAM group policy. I will put it with the WSOS policy. So I will go and then edit. We need first to make sure that this group policy will be applied to all of the PCs that we need the BitLocker to be active on it, and we need its hard disks to be encrypted. So we put it to the WSOS policy because it will be applied to all of the terminals or of the PCs in my network. So this is good one. So we will right click and edit. So first, after doing this, we need to begin doing a couple of things. We need first we will have or configure all our fixed disks to be encrypted, and the removable disks also, and we need the type of encryption to be AES XTS 260-bit, and we need TPM only authentication to be used. If you don't have TPM, you can use without TPM. The use of passwords non-TPM is blocked. This if you are not using TPM, but are using TPM. If you are not using TPM, we will change this option and we will enable this option. The use of passwords non-TPM, it's not blocked, we will allow it, and we'll have the BitLocker pages contact information. Okay, so all of this will be done using the BitLocker policy, as we will see now. I think we can go a little bit further. Just a moment. So here we can go there and begin the encryption. Okay, this is the group policy. So here we'll begin configuring it. Go to administrative templates, and then let's go there. Here, okay, and then go also. This is as we can see here, we have the BitLocker MBAM appeared. So this is the MBAM BitLocker management policy. We will not configure it now. We will configure some other options, okay, and then we will go configure it. So we need to configure a couple of things. So here what I am doing here, I am taking, before beginning configuring the BitLocker group policy and the MBAM group policy, I take a checkpoint or take a backup of these two virtual machines. One of them, this first virtual machine, it is the domain controller, and the other virtual machine, it's the MBAM server. Okay, so here I am taking a checkpoint. Okay, here you can see it's, let's go there. So here I will take a checkpoint. Just a moment, let's go there also. Okay, again we'll take a checkpoint. I will name it before MBAM group policy. You will see that in a moment. And here we'll take also a checkpoint. Here we name this checkpoint before MBAM. Okay, MBAM group policy. So by making a checkpoint here, we are taking a full backup of the virtual machine. So I'm just doing, or a little bit cautious. Okay, so I'm here, I am backing up the virtual machines before beginning the configuration of the MBAM GPO. So this is the end of the video, but let's go to the other one because this was a couple of minutes. So let's go to the next one, which will be the 10th video. Let's go there and begin. So here we can see that we will begin the MBAM, or begin configuring the BitLocker group policy and the MBAM group policy. So this is the first domain controller. Here we will begin going to the BitLocker driver encryption. Here we will begin configuring the type of encryption, what drivers that we will encrypt. So here, first thing that we will use, choose driver encryption method and cipher strengths. What type of operating system we will use, or that what type of systems that we need the encryption or the BitLocker to be activated on. It is Windows 8, Windows Server, Windows 8.1 or Windows 10 or later. Okay, so here we will use until, if for example you have more than Windows 10 version 15.07, so you can encrypt the one in the bottom. So here it depends what type of operating system you need the encryption or the BitLocker to be activate on. Okay, you need Windows 8, Windows Server 2012, Windows 8.1, Windows Server 2012 R2, or Windows 10 15.07. So if this one of these operating systems you need the BitLocker to be activated on it, so we will use this group policy. If you have Windows 10 version later than 15.07, so we need the other, or we need to configure the other group policy that begins or that have Windows 10 version 15.11 and later. So we will use this one. Okay. Oh, I think I will not use it because I will use Windows 10 version. This is, or Windows 7, it depends. I will use this one. Okay, so because I have Windows 10, not I have Windows 10 earlier or version more 15.11, so I will enable it, and then we will configure, or the encryption will be 256. Okay, just a moment guys. So let's continue. Here we will begin choosing the encryption type. So we'll make it 256 bit, and this is the encryption for the fixed hard disk or for the local hard disk of the PCs. And then we will go to the we will disable the use of smart cards. Okay, this is a way for using encryption, something called smart cards. We will disable this option, and then we will enforce encryption on fixed hard disks. Okay, full encryption. So first we will use or define the encryption type, and then we will enforce it on all of the fixed data drives, which is the partitions or the local hard disk for every PC. Okay, so now we are forcing full encryption. Configure the use of passwords. So we need to open the encryption on so we will not use passwords for the encryption. So here we will disable a configure use of passwords for fixed data drives. So here I are telling him we need only to encrypt the hard disk, but to open the encryption we will not use a password. Okay, we'll use other method. And here this is also the option to allow data recovery agent, and we need to save the encryption key to the Active Directory. So here we can see that what we will do, we will do not enable BitLocker until the recovery key is just a moment. Here we are telling him to allow data recovery agent. So we'll have here an agent, which means specify whether a data recovery agent can be used with BitLocker protected. Before data recovery agent can be used, it must be added to public key. Anyway, this is a recovery agent, so this is the user, or we allow a user to recover the BitLocker key if it is lost or something. And here we will configure user storage of BitLocker recovery information. We will have the recovery agent using encryption. Anyway, this is we will choose how BitLocker protects drivers. Here we will protect the drivers using this type of encryption, and we will save the encryption keys to the Active Directory. Okay, so here it what he say: before a data can be used, it must be added to public key policies in either group policy management console or in console. Deploying for select whether allowed or not allowed to generate 58 recovery keys. So here it's saying that you can recover by using this option. You can use a recovery agent to recover the BitLocker key, and the recovery key will be saved to the Active Directory with the last option here. So you not recover anything unless the recovery key it is saved to the Active Directory. Okay, so this is all for the fixed hard disks. Okay, we will go to the operating system. We will do the same. So here we will allow network unlock at startup. Okay, disabled. Okay, I don't know just a moment what is this one. Can go again and see. So what is this? While the BitLocker protected that is connected to a trusted wired and joined to the domain can create and use network key protectors on TPM enabled computers to automatically unlock the operating system when the computer is started. So anyway, we will disable it because we don't have a TPM. We will discuss later what is a TPM, but this allows you to unlock, okay, the encryption if it is on a trusted local network. So what he say here: this policy setting controls whether a BitLocker protected computer is connected to a trusted wired local area and joined to the domain can create and use network key protectors on TPM to automatically unlock the operating system when the computer is started. So it is a way that it will unlock the BitLocker encryption on the partition that contains the operating systems automatically. Okay, so this is the way we will disable it because we don't have a TPM anyway. So we will disable this group policy. Require additional here if you have require additional authentication startup. Here we can see that if you have a TPM you can use the TPM. Okay, so we can see what is a TPM. By the way, you can just tell him what is a TPM. Is TPM trusted platform. It is known as Trusted Platform Module. It is an international standard for securing a crypto processor, a dedicated microcontroller designed to secure hardware through integrated cryptographic keys. So this is a module on the motherboard that will store your encryption key. Okay, so this is it will not be stored only on the Active Directory, but it will be stored on a module on the motherboard. So this is a hardware, so you can install your key, BitLocker key, through a software or through the Active Directory and through a hardware. And of course using a hardware to save your BitLocker key, it's much better. Okay, so here, because I don't have TPM on my laptop and or your PCs in the network doesn't have TPM, if you have a TPM on your motherboard, so you should allow of using this option, but I don't have it anyway. So we will tell him to also save or save the encryption key to the or BitLocker encryption key to the TPM, and also allow the authentication or not to unlock the BitLocker on the operating system partition unless the TPM is involved in it, or unless the BitLocker key it is checked and verified through the TPM. Okay, so allow BitLocker without a compatible TPM requires a password. So if you don't have a TPM, when you open your laptop and you need the BitLocker key, need the BitLocker to be unlocked, or the encryption on your operating system to be unlocked, you need to provide a password. If you have a TPM, you will not need to put a password. so you can unlock the encryption or your operating system. This will be done automatically because it will go and check your BitLocker encryption key through the TPM module on the motherboard. So here we will use allow BitLocker without a compatible TPM. Requires a password, so you need to put a password so you can unlock the encryption on the operating system, or unlock the BitLocker encryption on the operating system partition. Okay. Okay, so here we will use this one. Just a moment. So let's continue, guys. Here we will continue configuring the group policies. So here allow enhance pin for startup. We will not use a password to start up the PC. Okay, so we'll disable it. So configure minimum password length. So you need to have 6 minimum characters to, so when you open your PC and you need the BitLocker to be unlocked, okay, or the encryption to be unlocked for your operating system or for a partition that have your operating system, you need to provide a password which is minimum of 6 characters. Okay. Enforce, so we need to enforce also the encryption that we have choose to be full encryption. And then we tell him the same to enable recovery agent, okay, and to omit recovery options to the BitLocker setup wizard and allow this the recovery keys to be saved to the Active Directory. Okay. And removable hard disk, we will do the same. We will tell him configure to disable the configure smart cards on removable drives. If you need also to know every group policy item does what, you need to read the description. Here we will enforce encryption. We will tell him to use full encryption. We will use AES 256-bit. So here we have all of the encryption policies configured. So now we need to go to the MBAM, okay, and then configure, choose encryption method and Cipher, okay. Choose encryption method or Cipher version 10. This is Windows 10 version, so we will enable it because all of our operating system in our workstations have Windows 10, 15, 11 or earlier versions. So we will enable this option and then configure management or management configure, and then we will tell him to configure MBAM services. Here we will decide, or we'll tell him to put the recovery key, okay, or to save the recovery key to a certain place, okay, and this place, or to put it in a certain page, or to redirect the recovery keys to a certain page. When you go to this certain page, it will put it to the MBAM recovery database. This is called MBAM recovery service endpoint. What is a recovery service endpoint? It is manage the key recovery service backup of BitLocker encryption information. This provides an administrative method of recovering data encrypted by BitLocker to prevent data loss. Okay, so it will save. You are telling him through this configure MBAM services that you will use, or you will save the recovery key to the recovery MBAM database. Okay, and it will save the recovery password and key, and it needs to check the status or the MBAM client connection with the MBAM server. We need to check the connection between the MBAM client and the MBAM server every 90 minutes. So this is to have a steady connection between the client and the server, so we can get a frequent situation about the MBAM, the BitLocker process, the process of the MBAM, so we can report the BitLocker process. Okay, so because the MBAM will be the one responsible for administering, monitoring, and reporting the whole BitLocker process. Okay, so administration will be responsible for encrypting, and it will be responsible for monitoring the process of the BitLocker, and it will also be responsible for reporting back to the database. Okay, MBAM database. Okay, so here we installed MBAM recovery. This is the website that we need to put. Okay, this is also type, if you it will be in the in this website. So you can see here, for example, if you go there in the website, this one, we will go there. So just a moment. No, just this is not it. Okay, just a moment. Just a moment, we can go there one by one. Anyway, it's not there, but I have already typed it or put it. So we will take this website. Okay, this is the recovery service endpoint and the status reporting one. Okay, this is also the status reporting one. So this is where it will record or put the data. And then we need let's continue. So here we will change the checking of status to 2 minutes. Okay, and the status of the reports to the 2 minutes. Status reporting service, status report frequency, and client check report checking status frequency. So it will check the report status and the client status every 2 minutes. In the fixed drive, we need to tell him fixed encryption. Okay, so here we can see him auto unlock. This policy allows you to manage whether fixed data drives must be encrypted or not. When enabling this policy, you must do not disable configure use of passwords for fixed drivers. Okay, anyway, this fixed driver encryption, it will auto unlock the encryption for you. Okay, so the user will have to put all fixed data drivers under the BitLocker protection and it will be encrypted. Anyway, I don't know actually what this do, but it is we should do it. I think we can see it from anyway. So we can see here that we can see the BitLocker here is the options of the BitLocker. We can see, for example, here everyone describes what we will do, or every BitLocker process it is described here. Anyway, we will continue. We just need to know the options and then we will see how this is done. Configure use of passwords on drives disabled. So here we can see that we have enabled this one, and then configure use of password to fixed drives disabled. choose how BitLocker protects can be recovered. We have enabled it. Encryption policy setting enabled 0. Operating system encryption. Just a minute here. Also you can see here that we have configured, just a moment, you can go there a little bit. You can see that allow enhanced PIN, it is disabled. Choose how BitLocker operators can be recovered, enabled. Okay. And then operating system protection setting, we will enable it. We will not use BitLocker with TPM. We will not use it because we don't have TPM module on the PCs. So I will not use TPM only. I will use TPM and PIN. If you have both, you can use it. Allow protection and so. Encryption policy enforcement and enable. So we'll tell him enable, okay, and allow the recovery. We have seen this option before, so we need to allow it, okay, and save the recovery data or the BitLocker keys to the Active Directory. Configure use a password on removable hard disk. Okay, so we will have, if you have a removable hard disk, a removable flash, maybe you will allow complex password to be put on the removable, or to have an encryption, okay, on the removable hard disk or flashes, and this encryption will be a password, okay, of 8 characters. To unlock the encryption, you need to provide a password for a removable hard disk or removable USB. Okay, so here I think we not use this type. I think we prerequisites. I think here what I will do, just yes, here I am trying to get the agent, but it was not successful. Okay, so anyway, so here we have finished the, but let me just make sure that we have already finished a BitLocker process. So here we have already finished the agent. Just a moment. You have finished the process of the I think here we have finished the process of the just a moment. Yes, we have finished the type of the or we have finished the part concerning the configuration of the BitLocker, these two parts, or what we have been discussing here. We have finished configuring the BitLocker, okay, the one concerning the BitLocker or the MBAM group policy and the BitLocker group policy. This can be done in one if you need, okay, and we have done this. Okay, so if you go there, we have done this part and this part. So we'll begin now configuring or how to install the MBAM client. So here we'll begin discussing how to install the MBAM client on all of the PCs in the domain, so we can complete, or we can administer, monitor and report the process of the BitLocker. Okay, so this needs to be done through the MBAM client, because I have an MBAM server and MBAM client. The MBAM client will report to the MBAM server for the BitLocker process as a whole. So, and it's not only reporting to the BitLocker server or the MBAM server, sorry, it will report the process, administer the BitLocker encryption process, and monitor the process. Okay, so this will be done. I will show you all how this is done. So now we will install the agent. Here we can see, just a moment. So here what we will do, we will go and have two files, or we will have two MBAM agents. One, we will get it from the Microsoft Desktop Optimization DVD MBAM and then Service Pack, and then we get to the installers 64-bit, and then we'll get the MBAM client. We will copy it. This is needed because we need to install it first, or install the MBAM client from the Microsoft Desktop Optimization Package DVD, and then we install updates for this MBAM client. Okay, so here we have it, and then we need to install this client update. Okay, so just a moment. First of all, as we see here, what I am doing here, we can see that this client we cannot install it because this MBAM client is exe. We need to get the MSI file, okay, so we can install it in the domain. Okay, because I will not be able to install the exe or the MBAM client using this file extension. So we will change this MBAM setup.exe, or extract from this MBAM client exe a file called MSI. This MSI file, it's more feasible and easy to deploy to the network. So if you are trying to install or deploy a program to a large number of PCs in your network, you need to have it in MSI extension. This is more easy to configure. Okay, you cannot work easily with .exe file. So what we will do, we will extract from this MBAM client setup.exe the MSI file from this file, and then we will configure it, or we will install it on our PCs, and then we will install an update for this MSI file. Okay, so we will see that now. Here we'll open the command prompt to extract the MSI file from this exe file. Okay, so here I'm telling him to extract the MSI file to this from this exe file to this location. Okay, so I'll tell him yes. So here we can see that this is the file that we need. This is the exe. This is the one that we will install in our domain. So we need to install this file and then install an update for the client. So the MBAM client have two versions, or have original file from the DVD. This is an old version, and then there is an update for this version. Okay, we get it from the internet. So we install the main file. It's 2015, was issued 2015, and then 2015, and then when we will install an update to this file which was issued 2018. Okay, okay, just a moment, don't ignore this error. So I will go to the ed background folder, the one or the shell folder that will contain both the main MBAM client and the update for the MBAM client, the one that I showed you all here in this graph. You can see it from here, you know. Okay, so this is, we need to go to this folder and put the main file, okay, that we have extracted from a couple of minutes, and this is an update MSP. This is an update for this file. Okay, this is the main file, or the MBAM main client file. It will be installed, and then there is an update for this file. It will be installed, and this is the line that we'll put it in the script, so both are installed. First the main file, and then the update for this main file. Okay, I think it is paused, maybe. No, it's playing. And then after putting the script or doing the script, we will create a new virtual machine and make it as a Windows, or as a normal workstation that contains Windows 10 on it, and we will see how the encryption is done. Here we are editing the script, okay, the login script, which is, in I said before, in sysvol folder or in a net login shared folder. And then what we will do, we will write a line, okay, or we will put a line telling him to install the main file. We see that now here for a moment. So here, this is the file. Tell him to install the main file and then update it. So we can see here it is installation and then update. So this update this file. But we need to change the update file name because this is an old update. There is an update that it's issued 2018. Maybe this is issued on another year, okay, because this is not the name of the update file. Okay, I will show you all in a moment. So here we go. If you go to the background folder or the shared background folder, okay, I need to get the files, okay, or to get the extracted.msi file. I need to get it. Okay, here is a problem, but we can pass it real quickly because what we will do here, okay, just a moment. We go to the background folder and then we need to put, this is the update for the client file, and this is, so if we can go a little bit further here, here we can see that this is the file, the main file that we get it from the DVD or Microsoft Desktop Optimization Package DVD. We get the exe file and then we extract the .msi file from it, and then we need to install it, and then this MSP, this is an update for this file, okay. So this is 2015 version and this is an update released on 2018. So we'll install this file and then we will update it with this file, okay, with one line that we have put in. This line will do the trick. It will install the file and then it will update the file using this file, okay. But we need to make sure to tell him the location, okay, of the two files, okay. So here the file, the main file, is in backgrounds, EDMF backgrounds, and then also the file, it's in EDMF background. Then we will save it, and it will be installed silently. We will don't have any input from the user, okay. So we will install the main file, the same that we have done with installing the MBAM server. The MBAM server file that we took from the DVD of Microsoft, it was updated by another file. So the same, we will take the client file from the Microsoft DVD and then we'll update this client using another file downloaded from the internet. So now if you try to use the to make or to use this login script on this server, it contains operating systems Windows Server 2019. The BitLocker will not work on, or not working on, Windows Server 2019. It will be working on Windows 10 or earlier. So the BitLocker, the group policy, it is saying that the BitLocker will only work with the Windows 10 operating systems, not the Windows Server 2019 or any Windows Server edition, okay. So it will not work. So we can see here, if we try to run the script, okay, it will say, if we tell him to run it, I'll try to run and see if the BitLocker or the client will be installed, okay. It will not work because this MBAM clients or this clients should only be installed on Windows 10. It will not be installed on Windows Server, okay. So this is only, the clients will only work for will be installed on Windows 10 operating system, not the Windows server. Okay, so even the MBAM BitLocker process will work only for the Windows 10 operating system. So the BitLocker will work for Windows 10 operating system, and the and the MBAM clients will be installed only for Windows 10 operating systems. So if you try to run the script, or try to run it now, so here I just restarted the server and see if the login script will work. Remember, I have done this login script in the beginning of the video, or at the beginning of the series. This is a script that will be applied to every Active Directory user in the domain. So as you can see here, that it will try to install both files. Okay, so it states that the MBAM requires Windows 7 or earlier, so the agent will not be installed on Windows Server. It will be installed only on Windows workstations, or Windows 10 or 7, or Windows 7 or later. So we will create a new virtual machine, we will make it as a workstation, we will join it to the domain, and then we will see if we can or we see how the BitLocker process will work. So now I am just shutting down the PC. Okay, with shutting down the MBAM server. And then I will create a new virtual machine. We will put on it Windows 10. Okay, and then we will name it, give it a name, and then we will join it to the domain, and then we can see if the MBAM client will be installed, and if the BitLocker process will work, and if all of this is recorded in the MBAM database, and we can run reports to see if the whole process is done. So here I'm just shutting down both virtual machines, and then we will create a new virtual machine. Sorry for that. Yes, we will make a checkpoint. Okay, I think maybe no. Here I'm just make it with more RAM, because I have only 8 GB of RAM, so I'm just giving the domain controller less RAM, so I can have available physical RAM to create a new virtual machine. Okay, so here I'm just doing this. I'm making a checkpoint, and then we will create another checkpoint, and then we will name it before applying or before applying the agent. Okay, after MBAM GPO. Okay, so we'll have 2 points or 2 backups, one before making the MBAM group policy and BitLocker group policy, and the other after making the MBAM group policy and BitLocker group policy. So now we will do and create a new virtual machine. Okay, and then tell him next. We have gone through this all options before. We will give it a name. So here I am having an Excel sheet that contains all of the workstations in the Mass Effect domain. So we'll go to this Excel sheet. Okay, and get it. Okay, and then we will get the computers and then we will take one of them. So we will take a ed terminal 01, and then we will name it. Okay, next, generation 1, it will give it 2 GB of RAM, and you will make it dynamic, so if it needs more RAM it will take it, and it will be on the internal switch, which is named DC internal switch. We have done this before, and we'll give it 200 GB of space. We have discussed all of these options before. Tell him to install operating system later, and then tell him finish. Okay, and then after that we'll insert the Windows 10 LTSC operating system. So I am installing Windows 10 2019 LTSC. Okay, this is a version, a very stable version and light version of Windows 10. Okay, and we will tell him to enable the guest services. Okay, so to have more communication or more flexibility of communication between the guest and the host. So here we will insert the Windows 10 Enterprise LTSC 2019 64-bit DVD, and then apply and OK. Then we need to install the operating system, and after that changing the name of the PC, and then join it to the domain. Okay, so here we will go and first of all we need to make sure, or we need to know the MAC address, okay, of this PC, because I need to tell the DHCP in the allow filter to allow this MAC address to take an IP address, okay, from the DHCP. So we need to know the MAC address of this virtual machine, so we can add it to the allow filter in the DHCP, so this workstation can take IP from the DHCP. So now we'll connect and begin configuring. We will make this PC have two partitions. So this hard disk will have two partitions, one for the operating system and one for the user's data, C and D. Okay, partition C and partition D. Partition C will be for the operating system, and partition D will be for the user's data. And then install. Windows Enterprise TSC. Accept the license agreement. Okay, custom. Then we will have it as two partitions. We will format the hard disk as two partitions. One will be 100 GB. Okay. And the other will be also 100 GB. One will have the operating system, so we install the operating system or the second partition, and we leave the third partition for the user's data. The first partition will be a system reserved partition. This will be if called system recovery partition. If something happened to the Windows, it can be recovered, or it can be changed. Okay, it can be fixed by this system reserved partition. Here we can see that this is the MAC address. We need to copy it and put it in the DHCP allow filter in the DHCP configuration. Anyway, we will be able to get it as soon as we power off this virtual machine. Okay. So I'm just taking a screenshot. And save it. So we put it after that in the DHCP allow filter, because without doing this it will not get an IP address from the DHCP. So now we'll begin working with the Windows 10, giving it the region and then the normal setting for the privacy setting, and then the local administrator. Okay, you need to create a user that will access this workstation. There is the local administrator by default, but you need to configure a second local administrator, and he will ask you for his name and a password for it. Okay, so this can be done, we can get it. Okay, we will get it a little bit quicker, but we just need to go like this. Okay, so here we will tell you if you have a keyboard layout, we will have English, we will install English keyboard only and skip, because the Arabic layout will be installed using the login script and with other things, of course. Okay, and then we need to just a moment. So here it's trying to get an IP address, but it will fail because we didn't put the MAC address of this PC in the DHCP allowed filter. So we will skip it now. Okay, here you go. And then what we will do, we will begin asking me for administrator account. Okay, so I need to give him a name, so I name it this administrator or this second local administrator K-Raouf1, and then we will give it a password. Okay, so after configuring this workstation and joining it to the domain, changing its name and joining it to the domain, the upcoming video we will see how the whole BitLocker process will work, and how the MBAM client will be installed, and how all of this will be recorded in the MBAM server database, and how we can get reports with what was recorded in this database. So all of this, it is options that we have already passed, or we have closing all of the privacy setting. This is also best practice. So anyway, here I'm just adjusting the resolution of the workstation. So here we are adjusting the display setting, so it will make the screen more wider. I think this is not a necessary step anyway. I think we need to pass it, okay, because I don't have all of this. What we will do, we will go and see the setting here. What we will do, we need to go and change the name of the PC. Okay, so we will go like this again. What we will do, we will go and open or search and open this PC, and then right click and join it to the domain. Okay, so now we need to join this, change the name of this PC and join it to the domain. So right click this PC, properties, and then change the name of this PC and join it to the domain. But before doing this, it will not take an IP address and it will not be given the DNS IP address and the domain controller IP address unless we allow the MAC address of this network card for this virtual machine to take an IP address from the DHCP by putting it in the allow filter in the DHCP configuration. Okay, so we will change the name. So this will be done in the upcoming video. I think now we will just tell him OK and restart. I think maybe you have already finished this one. So setting here, I think we will I have already power it off, and then I will go to advanced setting, and we need to change it to static. Why we do this? If we didn't do this, every time it will change the MAC address. So we need this MAC address to be static, because we will take it and give it or put in the DHCP allow filter. So if this MAC address it is changed, then it will not take an IP address. So we will make it dynamic. The MAC address will be changed every time the PC is opened and closed, or powered off and powered on, and this will not work because we need this MAC address to be fixed, because we will put it in the DHCP allowed filter to allow it to take an IP address. So every time this MAC address will be changed, you need to go every time to the DHCP allow filter and add the new MAC address. Okay, so we'll make it as static and tell him OK, and take this MAC address and put it in the DHCP allow filter. Okay, so this was all, guy, for the upcoming video. I will show you all how we can begin the BitLocker process, and this will be, or the upcoming video will be, the last video in the series. Hope this was a video for informative for you all, and would like to thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.